Hello, this is Professor Bustillo-Booth, and in this video tutorial, I'll walk you through stage 2 of the 5 stages for the Secret Shopper activity, which is the major deliverable for Business 101, Introduction to Business. Let's go ahead and get started. In the next few minutes, I will go over the learning outcomes, and it will be brief since we have already gone through that in previous videos. I will then walk you through stage 2 and how to complete that using the form to develop the product. Throughout the development of this multi-stage project, you will be delivering this learning outcomes more or less through the 5 stages. So you will examine the role of a small business in the free enterprise system, and you will analyze its functions, specifically around operations and marketing, and that your final product will be to issue a report on its strengths and weaknesses. The Secret Shopper project is developed over 5 stages. By now, you would have completed stage 1, where you chose a company and conducted an industry analysis. Stage 2 builds upon the work of stage 1, where a company was identified and where an industry was analyzed. If you so happen to get feedback from me that says, well, that business you chose is inappropriate for this activity, you may go ahead and choose a different company at this stage. The main work of stage 1, however, is a development of performance standards against which a business is then measured. I will sometimes refer to these as prompts. Let's go ahead and find the assignment in Canvas. As with any assignment, there are several ways to access that assignment. You might find it on your to-do list if you're already within a week or 2 from the due date of the assignment. You can find it in grades as well as modules. And in this case, I'll go ahead and click modules. I'll scroll to week 5, where this assignment will typically be located. Again, because this video tutorial is for all of my Business 101 sections throughout the year, it may or may not be in week 5, but this example does show that it is. So I'll go ahead and click this assignment right here, Secret Shopper Project Stage 2, Observation Prompts, and note that it is peer-reviewed. Once you click that, the assignment will show up. You will have details about its due date and number of points. It will have, the purpose of the assignment, a link to the skills and knowledge you are expected to gain through the successful completion of this assignment, and then there will be a list of task steps to follow in order to do this assignment well. Again, you want to read all the directions or you risk doing it all over again. So let's go ahead and avoid that. There will be a list of video tutorials, of course, and the number of videos may vary from course to course because sometimes I'll create additional videos to help students guide them further through the development process. Suffice it to say, all the videos that you will need will be under the step 2 here, and that if you need more, you can certainly ask for more guidance from me. Then in that list of tasks, it will also indicate which form to use. So it'll say use this, in this case, Secret Shopper Project Stage 2 form or worksheet to draft your 5 observation prompts. When you click that document, it'll begin to download, and you'll want to save it in a file folder that you can easily retrieve. All right. And also, I want you to notice that there are 2 separate tabs in this Excel file. The first one will say Observation Template, and it'll have a directive that says use this. This is the worksheet that you will be filling and creating your prompts. There's a secondary tab, and that contains instructions, and it says do not use, precisely because I don't want you writing anything in this document or in this worksheet right here. It just contains the instructions. So let me go over what the instructions are and then walk you through examples of how to create these prompts. So you want to watch all the videos, of course, because there may be multiple. There is actually another and separate video on how to create the last category, which is the marketing mix. Marketing mix is a lot more involved, and so I created a video for that. specifically, and you'll want to watch that. You want to create 5 prompts, or also called performance standards, for each category, right? You'll see here there are 5 here, another 5 here, 5, and so on. So you need to fill each and every single line. And that prompt needs to be appropriate for the business. So, you know, a prompt that would be a performance standard for a retail store, like a gift store, gift shop, will be different from a performance standard that is like a restaurant, for a restaurant. So you want to pay attention to that. Each prompt needs to be affirmative and positive, representing an ideal performance state. So it cannot be something like, the parking lot was messy, because that's not an ideal state. That is not a standard we want to aspire to, right? So it needs to be affirmative and positive, what we want the company to actually perform at that level. Okay, now then each prompt needs to be measuring, each prompt needs to measure only one performance or service element. So it cannot be something like, the associate greeted me in 5 minutes and was friendly. Those are really 2 different standards. The greeting, the efficient greeting of customers, in this case within 5 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever you think is appropriate for that particular business, and the standard of they were friendly. You want to separate those as 2 different performance standards. That would be something called like a double-barreled statement, meaning there are 2 things in there that was really trying to measure. Then you want that to be in the form of a full sentence, not a question. We don't want to be saying something like, was the parking lot clean? No, because that is a yes or no question. And what we're really trying to do is come up with a performance standard prompt that allows us to measure the degree to which a business has met that performance from a scale of 1 through 5, 5 being optimal. All right, so it does need to be a full sentence. Each prompt needs to be in the present tense, not past. So we don't want to see something like, the item I wanted was available to purchase, for a couple of reasons. One, it sounded like you created the prompt after the fact. And performance standards are not after the fact. They are what you want to see all the time, right? And so you want to phrase this as a present tense aspirational statement. This is what we want the company to perform at all in all instances. So it needs to be in a present tense. All prompts need to be created using proper language use standards. So that's spelling, grammar, capitalization, and so on. Why? Because this document is considered a professional document, one where your client can go back and take a look at to review to see what it is that you've done. A client has the right to go look at that for your source materials. In this case, you're conducting primary research because you're doing this for the first time for the company, right? And it's new information. It's considered primary research, and they can go back and ask you what it is you've gathered. And so you want to present this as a professional document. And the way you would then, check for spelling is you go and up here in review, and then click spelling, and then misspelled words will come up, and luckily I was fine there. And then the next thing you want to do to keep in mind is this is not the observation activity. This is the activity where you develop the performance standards, also known as prompts. Okay, so I'll give you some examples here so you get a sense of what to do. You will find that the categories really are sequentially positioned to approximate your experience as you would any secret shopper activity. So there are first impressions, and you'll find that here, first impressions. And this assumes that you're walking to a building, to a facility to observe. And the first things you'll probably discover is the impression around the parking lot, right? And so the idea here is that the business understands that customers, when they come in, they formulate first impressions right away. So in this case, I put in the parking lot is clean and free of debris. And you're saying, well, you got clean and free of debris. Well, clean and free of debris means the same thing. The parking lot is clean, and you're qualifying what clean means, which is free of debris, right? That's not a double-barreled statement. And so you'll have other first impression type questions here, which is distinct from your customer service employee behaviors. This is how the employee behave towards you as you enter the facility, as they engage with you, in this first few minutes. And then here, and by the way, my example is associate, or you could say employee or staff, it's up to you, greets me by this amount of time. And when I say this amount of time, I want you to actually write down what you think is an appropriate number of minutes. Is that a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes? I mean, if you are walking into a restaurant and there is a lobby there, and there's a place where you need to be seated, somebody ought to be meeting you fairly immediately. Waiting around 5 minutes is a very long time. It is not a standard you want to aspire to, right? So you want to think about what's really appropriate for that particular business. Then as the employee, greets you and, engages with conversation or other behavioral activities there, you are then engaging in something called path to purchase, right? So a path to purchase is you actually buying the service. In that process, you will have engaged in a level of customer service. So one of which might be, for example, the item I want is available to purchase. Because you may have had an item that you had in mind. Now you may not, and so you'll have a different prompt there. It could have been, the items that you wanted to order on the menu were available, that sort of thing. Okay, because they could have something on the menu, say if you were in a restaurant, but that menu item was not available. So this particular prompt that you would have created before you went in to observe would be appropriate. And then through that path to purchase, there is also the idea of money exchange. So you'll want to think about the different kinds of activities that would happen as you complete the purchase, right? Or as you have the purchase, excuse me. And so that's why it's really important for you to kind of observe the business before you kind of put this together, so that you have a sense of the kinds of performance standards that's appropriate for the business. All right. So then there's the end of the purchase itself, right? So after you've paid, there are going to be certain activities there. It could be about the return policy. It could be the kind of currency, debit card, credit card, cash that they may take. And again, it needs to be appropriate for the particular business. And you might do some online search on what is appropriate here, so you get a sense of, the kinds of customer service activities that occur during end of purchase, right? And then there is this latter area called marketing mix. Now, I will not go through what these would look like for you, because there is a separate video you'll need to look at in order to understand what this may be about. It is a little bit more involved, and by the time you complete, you will be, doing this activity. We may or may not have had gone through the marketing concepts in class yet. So, but I did provide for you separate videos that allow you to move forward anyway. I just also want to remind you to be sure to review the rubric, to be aware of how this project will be assessed. And that rubric is found at the bottom of the assignment, right? So you want to go over that and note that language use is part of the calculation here. And then after you are satisfied with your work, of course, you'll submit the assignment through clicking this button and then looking for your file so that you can go ahead and submit it. Now, at the deadline, you will then receive 3 peer submissions to review. And depending on the quarter, your deadlines will, and the number of days that you're given will differ. So just make note of what the deadline is for your particular class. Now, failure to review will result in 1 point loss for each unsuccessfully recorded or missing review. So it'll be important for you to watch the peer review tutorial so you understand what that means, and that if you do lose points, that will be recorded after the initial score. So you will have an initial score for the work you've done, and then your score will be adjusted to reflect missing peer reviews, if any. All right, so that's the end of the video tutorial. I just want to remind you that there's another one for developing the marketing mix prompts. And so be sure to watch that so you can do that part well. If you need further guidance, please do reach out to me. I do want to help you, and I don't want you lost in the forest, so please do reach out to me so that I can get you back on path. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck with the project.